Hey YouTube, I just got the new version downloaded and I happen to be home, so I figured I would get out here and do a quick drive because I know there's a lot of anxiety around what's happened the last 24 hours with a beta rollout of 10.3 and then a recall, and several of us, I included, went back to a production version, so I didn't have beta for, I don't know, it was less than 24 hours now. But you can see we're on beta 10.3.1, and they incremented the 2021.36.5.3 increment here. I posted the release notes on Twitter, but we'll go through them really quickly. I didn't see any changes at first glance, but maybe some eagle eyes out there will look at these. Here are the release notes, starting out with the profiles, and then full self-driving beta, the visualization improvements, and the same cabin camera item there. And under autopilot, I'll just go in here and review that. I have my full self-driving on average right now. I've played around a little bit with chill and assertive, but I'm an average driver for the moment, just trying to see what it does. And here are the details. Obviously, that there were some people that were disabled. In this new build, I've got emergency lane departure avoidance, blind spot collision, automatic emergency braking, and all of these items are on, including forward collision warning and lane departure, as my profile previously had set. So these items are not disabled any longer. In any case, let's just do the typical Memorial Park drive and give it a run and see how it goes. I'll engage here. Well, I guess it has to be engaged for me. I still have autopilot temporarily disabled for the moment, and there it is again. And I'll re-engage. Here we go. Starting off with a right turn into highway traffic. I don't expect any of the differences to be drastic, other than perhaps the major issues they did the rollback for from my drive yesterday morning on 10.3. Okay, it's clear to the left, wide open, no cars coming at all. And away we go. Easy decision with no cars, but the acceleration was just like it was yesterday. The creep felt about the same. I would have to say that there is a quite a lot going on in the Twitter community at the moment. Who knows where it'll be when this video comes out, or tomorrow or the next day, but just as this release came out, and with the news of the day with Hertz buying 100,000 Tesla Model 3s, the stock almost hit $1,000 before I started this drive, just to watch how the company's doing, and through what might have even been considered a little bit of turmoil with some software releases just a few minutes ago. It's a great story to watch. In any case, let's just talk about beta on this drive. We do have kind of a straightaway here. There's a lot of debate, and we had a lot of conversations yesterday about, software rollbacks and what it takes to roll back software, and whether or not it was warranted or not. And I'm completely an advocate of using safety as your guide on software such as this. If the reports they were getting, including some of the reports I sent in, were adequate, that they felt safety was compromised, then I think they did the right thing. How they were able to do it and the tools they had at their disposal, I'm not on the inside. I have no insight onto what it takes to roll back software to a fleet of cars. I'm sure there's cloud infrastructure. I know there's car infrastructure. There's different branches, because we did jump to a .36 branch from a .32 branch, and can you easily go backwards? Those are a lot of good questions that, there are people perhaps more in the know that could answer those questions. But I just recognize that it was no easy task. And I think it's, amazing, actually, that we got an entirely different build out within a day. I can't thank the autopilot. I'm sure there's some ADAS drivers out there that probably worked very hard to quick test this as best they could. Thank you all, if you're watching this video, for what you did to really do a Herculean effort to get the software out. For those of you that did watch yesterday's video, obviously it was in the morning. Today it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday, so it's a little bit more of a work day. the traffic is a little bit denser. So we may see completely different interactions on this drive just from the traffic density being a little bit higher. As we come up on this intersection, I'm going to disengage with the stalk to do a right turn. I'm putting the blinker on manually there. Let the reroute happen, and then I'll re-engage. All right, and I guess it's good to note on that first little stint there, I didn't get any forward collision warnings. For those of you that are curious what they look like, I did take a quick video yesterday afternoon that did illustrate some of the forward collision warnings and a little bit of the weird behavior I was seeing with the projected path or the trajectory vector. It seems to be working completely normal at the moment. Some new folks are asking a few questions that I've highlighted in the past, but I think it's worth noting. The colors on the projected path vector, it's kind of an aqua green or a gray. And then the distance between the dots represents relative speed. So you can see at the moment it's aqua green. There's a turn, and the radius was nice. I like that turn radius. It was good. Good correction. And then it turns gray when it intends on being stopped. And as it accelerates, the dots get further apart. And as it decelerates, the dots get closer together. So the dots represent a location in the future, whether it be stopped or moving. And also the colors of the cars was another question. If you notice, the Follow Me car, when it's present, is a little bit darker gray than the other cars as they're represented. There still are some blue cars that come in and out of the picture, and I've seen just about every scenario where they could represent different things, so I'm not 100% confident on giving an interpretation of what the blue cars represent. All right, we've got a unique situation where we've got a car with his blinker on, and we need to go around him, and it decided to wait instead of go around like the previous cars. Now, I let the car accelerate on its own. It was a little bit slow there, but I did let it do it on its own. There was a little bit of traffic behind me. I probably wouldn't have waited too much longer than I did. Okay, we're gonna have a red light with a green arrow and it's going straight. It has run this red light before, and it looks like it recognized the stop today, but it stopped well short of the stop line again. I don't know if you can see this or not. I'll twist the screen around. This is an accurate representation of where I am. Now, I'm not going to press the accelerator because in the past what that has done is it's given it the go-ahead to proceed through the light, and that's not the behavior I want. I would rather just, and I think I will screen capture that for Tesla. I've done it in the past, but just the stop line location isn't adequate. All right, and it should proceed straight. Looks like we do have a cone and a pothole there. It's marking the cone accurately. Ooh, this wasn't here yesterday. I've got a road close. Frenchie, I'm competing with your videos now. So it's got road close on. It needs to turn right. Okay, that was a disengagement. It was not honoring that. I think we've seen that from other testers in the past, that it somehow doesn't recognize that. So road closed is still a challenge. I'm just going to let it reuse the path that it has, actually. I'm going to proceed here and then engage as soon as the wheel's available. Okay, so we're going a little bit different route than yesterday, so it won't be a one-for-one comparison. I'm in the center of this road with a very obscured view. Now it can probably see. It's creeped out, but it needs to go, or it's going to need to reverse, but it's going to go. I mentioned reverse only because I'm hearing rumors that one person did see a reverse action on 10.3. I've yet to see it. Okay, it's using the blinker again on the S-curve, which is inaccurate. I'm going to snapshot that one for one. car there kind of came around a little bit. He had to go around. It didn't slow down at all. I think it yielded to that just fine. Lots of cars being rendered here. This little town center here, it's got a lot of shops, and it's definitely a little bit busier than yesterday morning. Lots of things on the visualization. I don't have time to look at it all, but I'm sure those of you watching might see some interesting things there. But what I liked about what it just did is it did not get impatient. It did not start trying to go around the cars that felt like they were going slower than the speed limit. It wasn't looking for a way around. We were complaining a lot about that on the earlier 10.1 and 2 releases. It's impatience to wait in line. So I'm going to call that a little bit of an improvement, because that's twice now. It waited on that white van earlier, and it just waited nicely going through that town center. A little flashing yellow here. A little bit of red mixed in again, no change. Didn't slow down though, it's nice. All right, needs to get in the left turn lane. Looks like it's mapping it correctly. Here you can see the path vector going from green to gray as it's intending on stopping. All right, we got a green arrow. Now it does need to get immediately in the right lane with a very short turn here. It's got it mapped correctly, but it should, okay, very aggressively jumped over there. And now it got a yellow and waited. Okay, it's proceeding on this red, but that car had the right of way, but the car, okay, it kind of took a little bit of liberty there. That car had the right of way with the right on red, but that was a close one. I would have very easily made that with a little bit more acceleration, but I let the car go ahead and do it. All right, looks like the mapping here is good. It knew exactly the lane to be in. Okay, that truck is creeping way out, but it didn't hesitate. So it sort of acted like it knew that truck was going to stop. Sometimes when pedestrians approach the side of the street with that kind of rate of speed, the car slows down and acknowledges the pedestrian might enter the street. But for that car that was approaching at that kind of decent rate of speed, it didn't seem to acknowledge it at all. Might have to look at the video there also. All right, coming up on this stop sign that it can't see till it gets out of the trees, and there it sees it pretty quickly. I think before, and I didn't notice it here, I was getting the banner down here that said stopping for traffic control before it could see the light, and I don't think I saw any alerts that time. That may be new behavior in there. See, here's a blue car over there on the left. I'm not sure exactly what that means. Okay, coming up on our initial turnaround point, so I'm going to disengage with the stalk vertically. I think that was pretty good. You know, the disengagement with the road closed detour, that's pretty well documented. I guess they just hadn't even started working on that. A little bit frustrating, I guess you could say, because it ought to be able to see something as big as a orange and white sign with a road closed and a detour. Obviously, a detour sign is a little bit of an advanced maneuver, but that's what vision has the promise of doing, theoretically. So with my turnaround point, I'll put in the return destination. And we'll give it a go. Looks like we might have a follow me car on the way out of here at this three-way stop sign, or this three-way intersection with a one-way stop sign. Here's a couple of those blue cars kind of coming and going. It's mapping the barrels on the other side of the street as cones. It's watching that car go. Its map trajectory looks really good here. It needs to creep out to see. There's a car right there. It needs to wait. Okay. It was going in the road. I'm not sure what it was doing there. I'm going to mark that one. I hope it could see those cars. I could see them. I'm sure that it could. But it was proceeding with enough speed for at least those other cars to think I was going. That's a little disappointing. I have to say, at that three-way intersection, of all the times I've done it, I've only had a couple situations that were like that, where there was actually traffic that it needed to wait for. So maybe I have a little bit of false sense of confidence of that intersection. I know Kim Paquette has a couple intersections in Newport that are kind of those funny angles that she's reported some problems with, but I thought we had them fixed. Police car going by. I don't see any sort of emergency vehicle lighting on him. I know we're kind of looking for that sort of symbology. Obviously, he didn't have his lights on, so that could have been the reason it wasn't mapping them. All right, should be proceeding through this light. Interesting, it was going a little bit slower than the speed limit behind that car, and as soon as he cleared out of the way, it accelerated right up to the speed limit, which is nice. Yesterday, I was also noticing, and I'm seeing it again, these cars on the right side of the road, occasionally it will show them with their brake lights on. So I can't figure out why it's doing that visually, unless, I mean, I don't have a high sun angle throwing any reflections here. So yesterday I thought it might have just been sun angle reflecting, making it look like lights were on. Today it's a little bit overcast. Maybe some of you in the comments can give me a few theories. I'm going to disengage here and proceed straight and let it reroute. I don't want to go out to the main highway yet. There's one reroute. I'm probably going to re-engage, and then I'll probably disengage again to force it. Oh, it looks like it did okay there. All right, coming up, for those of you, well, actually, it looks like it picked a different route this time. There's an intersection up here that it's run the stop sign before. This time it's choosing this right turn here, which is fine. Ooh, and it went around that. Didn't map the cone, did it? There was a cone there, but didn't map it. I was worried it was going to cut that corner and perhaps hit the pothole. Oh, got another blue car there. So some sort of yielding logic is built into those blue cars. Give way or something. All right, so here's a scenario where I got to take a left turn. It needs to kind of get further over to the right. I'm really kind of hogging the middle of the road. It cannot see. It needs to creep. Okay, I can just barely see, and it is clear. And it did just fine. That was fine. All right, so now we got a cyclist in the middle of the road that's really probably not honoring. Okay, and he ended up going across the way and getting out of the way. He was kind of using up the whole lane there for a second, so I was wondering if it was going to have to deviate around him. But I think it did a good job with how it presented itself. Okay, a couple flashing yellows going the other way. Oh, actually, we're going to run into the other side of that road closed sign here. So we're going to get road closed twice today. Got a flashing yellow with a car coming out here, and it did nicely, just went right through. A couple people at the back of that truck, and it gave them a little bit more room. That was really good. All right, there's our first road close warning, big orange triangle. Second one's detour head. Obviously, it can't read these, and it's not mapping them yet. Orange and white, road closed, detour, and it's mapping a path around it. So I'm just going to go ahead and disengage, snapshot, and go around. So, yeah, Rob Maurer also saw that same scenario that first night he drove a couple versions ago. Detours are tricky. A well-mapped detour should be solvable if at every intersection where you need to take a turn, they give you the correct arrow. But obviously, the planner looks like it's going to choose its own detour based on map data and rerouting rather than following the detour sign. In this situation, it looks like it did choose the same route the detour signs were directing you to. All right, we got to give, ooh, nice job there. Let's see what it does here. Okay, it did not give that car enough room. And now I'm getting a lane departure warning, and it was hogging the middle of that road, and that car was not comfortable with it, so I needed to take over and give more room there rather than hog the whole road. But I'm re-engaging at a stop sign. It needs to just creep out. The road's closed to the right. And it looks like it's waiting on a car that must live on that street. And it's very slowly going here. A little overcautious, but overcautious, I guess that did not feel human-like coming out of that turn. I try not to use the accelerator at all unless it's an evasive maneuver so that you can kind of witness the actual speed and jerkiness it comes up with on its own. There's no doubt that the lateral path, by the car with a user input of an accelerator, you can make it a lot smoother than it is naturally. All right, so we're taking this right turn just like that lead car did. Right on red is legal. Very cautiously going. Okay. Nice. Needs to go around this curve here. Give that car some room. These mapped paths. I look down at the screen a lot when I'm worried about, is it going to go around cars well enough? And if it's got a good mapped path around something, I'm much more comfortable than if it's jerking around. And I guess that's advice just for the new beta testers, is when you're uncertain about what the car is going to do, if you can glance down just to see how solid the path vector is, it just adds to a little bit more confidence for the driver. See, here's a good example. It's going around this truck nice and smooth, a nice smooth curve around that truck. Okay, now here we are with an unprotected left. Looks like the cars in front of me are going to the right. Well, actually, it looks like the front one is going to go to the left. We get to watch what this car is doing, right? So he's going to the median. He's waiting. And then I'm going to hopefully do something similar. Now, I know the Tesla won't do that yet. Okay, I've got a car approaching quickly from the left, but it needs to wait. Because honestly, here's a new scenario. I really kind of need to wait on that car to clear like he just did. Okay, I've got a small gap to the left. If it goes for it, it needs to kind of go. Okay, it cannot stop in the middle of the road there. So it stopped in the middle of the road to wait on that car there. So that was a varsity left. I'm not going to say it was easy, but the location it chose to stop was not safe. Sorry, I always get a little bit amped up on those lefts, just because you never know what to expect. Got a little bit of drizzle coming. Hopefully it's not obscuring the view too much. Windshield wipers just kicked in. Uh-oh, let's see. I've got a blinker on here, and here's where I need it to be patient. Oh, it's starting to map that path. Now, I wonder if it's doing that because it can't see that there's a car in front. Oh, here it goes. Don't do it. I'm not going to let it do it. I'm just going to... Okay. So, you see it? Look at what I'm describing here. Because it's a vision-only car... Right now, I do have a radar, but it's disabled on beta. It thinks there's a gap up there. So the planner says, oh, wait a minute, this car is stalled, or there's something in the road. So we have to somehow figure out how to put logic in here so that it doesn't assume that there's no car in front of its own front car, its lead car. That's an interesting... See, look at that path. It thinks there's a hole in front of it, but we know there might not be. Okay, I had to disengage there as it wanted to change lanes. Okay, re-engaging. That was a really good use case of the waiting behavior. I think that also might explain a little bit of what the planner is solving. If it sees on the map that there's a gap in here. Now look at this vector here, thinking I'm turning left. This is where I get nervous. See that? And it decided to go straight. There have been situations where the car has jerked left in an intersection, and if you're not looking at the vector, you got to have your hand on the wheel because it might jump left in those intersections. I don't know why it was thinking that though. Those are some vision planner intersection kind of logic there that needs to be worked on a little bit. here we go. One other intersection, and then we're having this will be a forward-facing unprotected left next, unless the stoplight gives us a green arrow. And then at the end of this destination, I will most likely throw in a couple unprotected lefts, only because yesterday I saw looping behavior, and I'm absolutely convinced that the Tesla team did not have any time to fix looping behavior last night. But I just would like to document it with a little bit different traffic density to see if there's any different behavior today. All right, blinkers on at a nice time, in the turn lane well. It's got a green unprotected left. It could try to roll that one. It didn't. It's okay. Now it's too late. If it had rolled it, I probably would have let it go. But because it stopped and then started slowly creeping, I didn't let it go. I don't know what that's going to look like on video, but it was the way the car went into the turn that I didn't let it go. The gap was shrinking as the car had stopped. Okay, so I'm going to throw in a different destination of target. And, oh, wrong one. All right, and this destination is the one that creates my left turn at this intersection. And we will go from here, engaging as early as I can, and here we go. It's got a good mapped path. Looks like it's taking a left as it approaches the stop line and then starts creeping. It cannot see yet. As long as the creep is smooth and steady, I'm comfortable with it, and it needs to stop. Now there's a small gap here. I'm pretty far out, but I'm not in the lane. All right, we have a decent sized gap after this truck, and it can go all the way. Nice. So, one good unprotected left. It did not bail to the right. I know the camera stopped right there in the middle of that. I started it as quickly as I could. But I think that it did that well. I'm going to try to do a couple more and just see if we get some consistency. All right, take two. Looks like it's got a mapped path to the left, but I've seen a couple flicker to the right. Nice slow creep. Needs to... Okay, I can see now it's clear to the left, but it's not clear to the right. So it could go to the median if it knew how to do that right now. And interestingly, I've got another car here that I've got to yield to. Brake is fluctuating. It now needs to wait. It needs to wait now. The gap closed on the left. I am way out. Okay, it's a tiny gap. Okay, I've got to take over there. It wasn't accelerating like it should have. If it had that boost in there, it might have made it. I haven't felt the boost today. Interesting. It was a gap, but it didn't use the right acceleration at the moment. And having seen it stop in the middle of the road just a few minutes ago, I didn't have the confidence it wasn't going to do it again. So I'll do another one and see if we can get a different behavior. All right. Hopefully third and final one. I don't know if you saw that trajectory's jumping to the right again occasionally. Oh, wait a minute. I've definitely got a mapped path here that's wrong. I'm sorry. Let me correct that. It was doing a loop on the map. All right, engaging it at a rather late point here, but let's see, it's creeping. I think it's got itself reset okay. There's one car to wait and a nice gap, probably on both sides. It should go right now. It needs to go. It needs to commit. It needs to commit. Okay, it cannot stop right where it stopped. All right, that car in the middle lane there that I'm pointing at, I think is what made it hesitate in the middle of the oncoming traffic. It needs to go to the median. Give that last one a snapshot. Okay, so unprotected lefts I think are the same as they were on 10.2. Ironically, it didn't do any right turn looping today. It did several yesterday. So I don't know if the looping behavior is a side effect of any of the other issues that were going on. I know some people had some theories there was a memory leak. I haven't gotten any confirmation on that. I don't know what to attribute it to. Neural networks, I guess, is probably the safest thing to attribute it to, is we just don't know what all the inputs are. But I think in general the unprotected lefts are progressing with the capabilities that it's had. I don't think there's any drastic improvement or degradation. I did feel today that the aggressive punch that was there a few versions ago, 10.1 and 10.2, was not here today. And that may be a fact of me using this average full self-driving profile. I guess I could come out here and use aggressive or assertive, whatever it was called, and try that to see if that punch is there. That might be a topic for an entire video, as I have already probably made this one longer than anyone is going to listen to it. All right, everybody. I hope you have a great day. Leave me some comments below and let me know what you think. So long.